Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Delaney. I am one of 3 science consultants at Heartland AEA, and today we are going to be investigating part 2 of our virtual learning in science resources. I have 2 guests with me today. Would it be okay for me to record as we complete this conversation?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So I will be starting by sharing my screen of each of the websites that I show you today, each of the virtual learning resources. I will also give a short summary. We have a plethora of websites to go through, so I'm not going to spend as much time on these websites as I did previously on the general science classes. This is going to be quite a bit faster today. However, these resources, I do want you to know, are going to be more specific to individual subjects, which means there are going to be more virtual labs and simulated activities. So there is quite a bit more information if you're wanting to include students to do something like temperature change labs or dissections. This is the conversation today. However, very few of these resources today are going to have any lesson plans or teacher support materials associated with them. They are simply going to be the virtual activity or the simulation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, oops, I've got you on the wrong page. All right, so the very first thing that I want to show you is from Michigan State University. This is one of their classes that talks about actually technology teaching and learning across the curriculum. And this particular unit that they've made available is on science. So this comes from their School of Education. But what I want you to see is that they have all of these links to different free online dissections. So I'm sorry, I should have said, we are starting with biology and life science specifically. So these are great websites that you can just go ahead and click on. Some of them are going to be from outside websites, and some of them are going to be like on YouTube. And then there's actually a video. You'll have to go ahead and click on the link there. But there is a video of someone actually dissecting a sheep brain. So very cool stuff, easy to follow along with, easy to use. You're just clicking on the websites. So that's going to be the Michigan State use of their School of Education class on virtual dissections. The next website that I'm going to show you is going to be from Carolina, which is a distributor. We can go ahead and click on this particular activity, and this is going to be just the 2nd grade life sciences. And you can go ahead in any of these, and it's going to give you a huge number of resources that you can access for that particular unit in standard. Oops, I'm sorry, I have to go back. So this is the whole unit, and it would be something that you could really just copy and paste and put into your student learning system. So if you're trying to plan ahead for the year and you're trying to think about what possibly you may want to save in your actual standards, you may want to consider this life sciences unit, because you could cover these standards at the end of the year. If we don't end up having some sort of quarantine, or if we don't end up having some sort of break in school, you could cover these at the end of the year. But if we do, you've kind of got this unit already constructed for you, and it's in your back pocket. The next one I'm going to show you is BioInteractive. And BioInteractive has a huge number of resources available to us. So it is all high school, but let's say that we want to look at videos of something happening in high school biology. You can go through all of these, and it's going to show you what is going to what you're looking for. So perhaps you want something that's specifically about careers. Do you want to emphasize what they do and what scientists do in careers? So this one's actually really interesting. It's about a biologist who is studying how deer mice live at high elevations and how it alters their diet, and they can make it through the winters at high elevation in mountainous areas. And so he actually animates what he's doing in his lab and then shows people how he does it. So this BioInteractive website is, again, for secondary, but there's some really great information on there for anyone in case you are looking at careers. So this is from MSI Chicago. And so they're calling, I'm sorry, MSI is the Museum of Science and Industry. I used to live in Chicago, so most people would know what that is. But MSI Chicago has put a lot of their interactive games and activities online. So I had linked to a specific activity, but you can go through all sorts of stuff. So this is actually an activity that they demonstrate, and then they provide students the supplies that they can do it themselves. Same thing with the solar cooker. So when you go through, you can see that some of them are listed as hands-on, others are videos, and yet some others are games or simulations. This Make Room for Baby is really fascinating, especially for high school kids. You can see how all of the organs and bones shift in the female body as a baby is growing. So very interesting stuff. Quality stuff, and it will be free in perpetuity. So the next one I'm taking you to is going to be out of the University of Oregon. A lot of people are familiar with the University of Oregon because they have their life sciences lab there, which is a mix between psychology, education, and learning sciences. And they put out a lot of really great stuff that is based in all of that research. So this particular website is going to allow you to do demos. It is a huge number of demos that they've put together that kids can read. They are not necessarily going to be suitable for all ages. But if you want kids to look at acids and bases, for an example, you can go ahead and click on any of these simulations and videos, and it's going to allow you to do these activities. So you can go in and it's going to let you simulate putting in these different compounds and dipping in the litmus strip to see what happens when different acids and bases are put in solutions and you're testing them. So again, they are free. They have always been free. They're not just free because of the quarantine. The next one I'm going to show you is also from Carolina. This one is going to be a physical science unit, though, on energy and waves. So again, you've got your articles that you can read. You've got at-home activities. This one's popping popcorn. It gives you the questions to give. And then there's a tie-in with math with this particular one. So they're having you look at table tennis potential energy. So there's a lot of really great stuff in these Carolina units. The next one I'm going to show you is going to be ACS. And ACS has a website called Chemistry for Life, or excuse me, their theme is Chemistry for Life. And this particular website is going to be their middle school chemistry unit. They have a huge number of lesson plan options available for teachers. And in these lesson plans, like the Carolina units, they're going to be full and complete units. So again, if you're looking for something to keep in your back pocket in case we do break for a while, this is a great place to turn for that middle school chemistry unit. Each of the lessons are going to have a video that's going to talk through the major concept. And then they're also going to have an assessment as well as an activity that's associated with it. If students need additional information, there's going to be additional multimedia links, and then there's also going to be student readings. So it is a whole and complete unit. There are, I think, 6, hang on, let me go back. I think there's 6 chapters in these lesson plans. So you can, yep, there's 6. So you can go back and look at the different ways that they have aligned them, but they've aligned them based on NGSS, which at the middle level is actually still what we do in Iowa. If you don't necessarily need the whole lessons, you can still click on their multimedia resources, and you might want to use some of these for your own classes that are maybe not from middle school. You could still use the multimedia resources again by uploading them into your student learning system. The last thing I want to show you for chemistry, oh no, it's not my last one. I'm getting close though. The last one I want to show you as far as like middle school appropriate is going to be PhET. If you've never used PhET, it is really great. They are interactive simulations, that are going to really promote students engaging and doing the science when they're not in the classroom. So if you go ahead and you click on these simulations, you can see that there is a variety of topics and grade levels and devices. So not all of these are friendly for every single device, but I love that you can sort in a variety of ways based on your needs. So this particular activity down here is called Bending Light. It's a really interesting activity that explains to students that when you put a straw in a cup, why the straw looks like it's no longer straight. That is an activity that kids could do at home with a glass, water, and a straw. Very affordable materials to send home, and a really interesting physics lesson. So take some time to browse through PhET. They've got some really cool stuff. Bozeman Science has lots of videos. I would not necessarily say that this is a website for simulations or virtual interactions. It's almost all videos, but the videos are of very high level concepts. So for an example, this is on CRISPR and how CRISPR alters our DNA. So keep in mind that even though there is really fabulous resources here, it's almost all secondary. So if you are a high school chemistry teacher, if you are looking for AP level videos, this is a great place to turn when you're looking for something that's going to cover some of those more advanced topics. The Chem Collective is going to be one of our activities that is going to also be advanced. So it's going to cover stoichiometry and thermodynamics. It's going to cover some of the other information that is more high level, but these are actual virtual labs. So in the virtual labs, they're going to take you into a laboratory. I'm sorry, they're going to give you some tips. They're going to take you into an actual virtual laboratory with a workbench, and you're going to be adding in some of these different chemicals, and you have to talk about what temperature you want them at. You have to talk about the molarity. You have to go back into the stock room to get your different supplies and tools. So it's very interesting because you are really doing a fully simulated online lab. I did purposely one time blow something up just to see what would happen, and it really did cause fire and told me my lab had ended. So it is very realistic, and your students can still fail. I would highly recommend this for high school teachers and AP teachers if you're looking for a way to do some virtual labs without reinventing the wheel. The next one is going to be the American Association for Chemistry Teachers. They have also put together a variety of simulations. Some of these are for younger students, but most of them are going to be for older students. Like this states of matter and phase changes. Part of it could absolutely be used for younger students that are talking about solids, liquids, and gases, but a lot of them are going to be for higher level students. So again, if you're a high school teacher and you're trying to look for different ways to look at atoms or molarity or anything, this would be a great opportunity. And you know they're highly vetted because it's coming from AACT. So the next one I'm going to take you to is Merlot. Merlot was featured earlier, but I'm going to feature it again. It was featured on a different class, but I'm going to feature it again because I just want to point out the virtual chemistry laboratory is going to take you actually back to that Chem Collective. So keep in mind that some of these resources that are from Merlot are going to take you to other resources that I have already showed you. Some of them are brand new though, and so I would highly recommend considering checking them out. Like this one's going to take us to a new website called Water on the Web, and it's going to talk all about what happens to our oceans, what's happening to our lakes, why is the acidity in our oceans rising. So there are some really interesting things that are on this website. Again, Chem Collective. I think we covered Chem Collective already. Yes, we already covered Chem Collective. So I'm going to go ahead and skip over this. I just wanted to point out that Chem Collective can be used for middle school and high school. That's why I think I included it. The next one is going to be mostly text. There are some simulations on this, but the simulations are related to some sort of major text. Excuse me. So in this particular one, we're going to be looking at acids and base titrations. And you can actually go in here and you can titrate and see what's going to happen to the outcome. So I would not necessarily call this a virtual lab because you're not in the laboratory setting, but it is kind of a online lab in the sense that you can collect your data, but you're not actually going to be doing the titration as you would be doing when you're looking back at some of those other simulations that I showed you where you're actually in the lab and your screen can blow up, which is kind of fun. This is a general chemistry course that comes actually from a business. And these courses allow you to go in to the, oops, my Adobe Flash player was locked. Hang on just a second. We'll approve that. All right, and let's go back here. All right, I'm gonna try clicking on that. Let's do periodic table. We haven't done anything with periodic table. Allow. Okay, so once you come into the periodic table, it then allows you to click on the various elements and you can see all of the information. So again, some of these activities are a lot more interactive than others. Let's do Hess's Law. Okay, so again, in this one, you can drag it down. You can see what happens into the different spaces. Oh, well, that's not working, right? So I must not have done it correctly. So I would just recommend that we look at these different activities as you're going through them. The next one I'm going to show you is from the University of Missouri-Rolla. And again, these are simulated activities that you can go into. This one's kind of a sink or float activity and testing density. Excuse me. And so I'm going to test gold in water. I'm going to weigh it in the air. It's going to tell me what happens. Obviously that didn't work. I'm going to weigh it under liquid. That's changing the scale. I'm going to weigh it off the balance. Okay. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can simulate these activities. This one's not as engaging as some of the other ones are, but absolutely still can be a density lab. The very last thing that, oh, nope, that's the last one for chemistry. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my video because I am going to ask my attendees if they have any questions, and then we will come back and talk about the remaining resources. So I'm going to pause my video. All right, thank you so much and welcome back. We're going to go ahead and finish this session by talking about earth and space science as well as STEM resources that are out there. So I'm going to go ahead and tap back into my website here, or excuse me, my internet window. And the very first activity that we're going to talk about is going to come from the Environmental Literacy Council. This is going to be a website that is going to allow you to tap into different activities that they have put together. So you have to scroll kind of all the way down to the teaching resources. You can click on these other windows, but they're not going to necessarily take you to an online activity. Some of them might, and you need to know that they might, so go ahead and click on them. But on these teacher resources, it's going to actually take you into very specific lessons that you can use. Like this environmental science toolkit is going to talk to you about what tools environmental scientists use and why they use them. You can also tap into, once you click on that, you can tap into these different tools, and you might want to look at like how scientists would do pond sampling. And it gives you a, oh, that one's empty. Don't click on the pond sampling apparently. But you can go ahead and click on many of these different resources and it's going to give you a plethora of information about it. They are also free for use, so you do not need to ask to use them, which is also nice. Oh, goodness sakes, I'm clicking on all the things that are not there. Okay. So I would just recommend going through and looking at this website and clicking on things. It looks like there's some incomplete information once you start clicking on the AP stuff. So heads up on that. This page is still loading, so we're going to skip over that. This is NOAA. NOAA is a wonderful resource for our students to be able to look at different images that are out there. Perhaps you want to study the Great Pacific garbage patch, or maybe you want to look into what happens to an ocean spill at the Gulf. You can click on these different things and it's going to give you a current event that you could add different information for. But you can also go into these lesson plans and activities, and it's going to give you different things that you can do with your students and PowerPoints that your students can page through so that they can see why an oil spill may have happened and what the outcome may have been. This one's actually super cool. It's a simulated PowerPoint that shows you what the ROV would have seen as it was going down and looking at the pipe. So I would highly recommend NOAA's. They do hire full-time educators to create these resources, so I do know that they are quality. NASA, similar to NOAA, has made a huge amount of lesson plans available for teachers. This one in particular, I have clicked on the K4. They do probably have more resources for high school, but you're going to have to curate them yourselves. You're going to have to go in and look at the pictures and the videos that are there and make a lesson plan out of it. Whereas the K4 information has already been curated for you. So they have like, what is NASA? And it's going to give you the reading. It's going to give you the videos. It's going to give you the information that you need. And then it's also going to give you some activities that you can do with students. So the NASA website is fabulous, especially if you're looking at Earth and space science. You can really get students into looking at NASA in the current events. The next website that I'm going to show you is really interesting, and it's all about ecology. So if you're looking at biosystems, you're looking at ecosystems, you can go ahead and click on any of these and it's going to basically give you a web quest that you can do on these different ecosystems and these different biomes. They are from the Missouri Botanical Garden. So you're going to have a lot of focus on the flora, less focus on the fauna. But if you want to like collaborate this with the shoreline ocean spill that I was just showing you, you would have a really dynamic unit that you could create for yourself. Next is going to be Class Zone, and they have a variety of investigations, they call them, that you can look at. And when you get into these investigations, you can actually see what people see from Earth and why that's significant and important. So they would say, you know, what are the major parts of our planet? And you can actually, so this is similar to a web quest as well, but you can actually create a unit out of this if you are interested in doing it. And again, it's as simple as copying and pasting the links and putting them into your student learning system. The next one is going to be Annenberg Learning. And I know we already talked about this a little bit, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time in this. But what I did want to emphasize, I talked a lot about their videos previously, but I want to show that they do have some interactive simulations. So this one is going to be an exploration of Earth, and you can click on these different parts of the Earth and it's going to tell you what it does. It's going to give you information about it. And then on the plate tectonics one, which is the next one, you can actually move stuff and quiz yourself. So they do have more things that are interactive. It's not just their PBS-like videos. Another unit from Carolina that I just wanted to highlight, we've already talked about them, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on those. This is the Governor's STEM Council. I wanted to let you know that this is out there. I have already taught a class on the Governor's STEM Council's resources. So if you're interested, that video will be uploaded and available. I can link it below. But I just wanted to show you that they have released a huge number of free resources that are available to teachers currently for free. And they have not listed when those resources will not be free. So at this point in time, they are still free. But you may just want to page through here and look at all of the things that the Governor's STEM Council has made available to teachers, because they are really fabulous and they've curated them for you. There are also some local businesses in Iowa that have used CARES funding to make their product that is typically of charge for free. One of them is called Parametric Studio. And they are offering free trials, and you just sign up. And you can sign up as a parent or as a teacher, and they have all of these different modules that you can go into, and they are interactive and simulated. So all of them are augmented reality. So you're going to actually go in and you're going to build an airplane, you're going to build a boat, and then when you test your boat and your airplane, they have different hands-on activities that are optional to go with those simulations. And then at the very end, you actually create yourself a blueprint that can be printed and cut out a foam board and then built to create a model. So very interesting. And again, right now it's free for both students, parents, and educators. The last of the 3 websites that I want to show you is going to be Discover. This is going to be cool content, but not necessarily full units. So this is going to be more something that you could take and paste and have students do. But what I like about this is that you can sort. So let's say you just want hands-on activities, it's going to significantly limit it. Let's say you just want hands-on lesson plans with hands-on activities. Oh, that doesn't do it that way. Let's say you just want full lesson plans. You can go ahead and click on that too, and it's going to sort for you. So again, this is just a curated variety of options that you can engage with your students. And again, if you're looking for full lesson plans, it's a good place to go. This one is going to be Iowa State Engineering Kids. It is from Iowa State and their College of Engineering. They are also the folks that run the first Lego League. And so this one has great activities to do at home. And they're always activities that include very accessible items. So this one I think is going to be a model using Legos. But there's all sorts of other activities that are out there. If you go back, they have different, they have a full list of archived activities that you can go back to. The next one is going to be code.org. If you are looking to add in logic, or if you are, maybe you teach multiple subjects, maybe you're a STEM teacher, code.org is a fabulous way for students to start learning how to code. They have tons of projects that are out there for students to engage in, from as early as preschool and kindergarten all the way up to high school. And so I would really recommend checking out code.org if you are looking for a way to bring STEM into your classroom. They do have many of these coding activities that talk about why in science, for an example, we only change one thing at a time and how that's similar to coding. So I would recommend giving code.org a look. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is going to be the Regent Center for Early Development. This website is for students roughly 3 through 8. So you're looking PK through 3 at a maximum. And this has a huge number of games and other things that they have curated that are specific to STEM. So some of them are math focused, some of them are science focused, but the entire focus of this website is getting kids engaged in an interdisciplinary format. So I would highly recommend checking them out because there are some really great opportunities here. And then I also just wanted to point out that over on the side, they have other resources that are available. So this particular one is going to be STEM experiences that you can do in a classroom. There's also a list of recipes that feature chemistry and why you may want to consider using them. And so if, again, you're looking for things to do with students at home, this is really fun. A lot of schools are no longer offering home economics or any sort of consumer science courses. So this could also be a way to integrate some of those skills that maybe students aren't getting anymore. So that is going to be the end of the presenting of all of the different options that we have collected at Heartland for our online and virtual science offerings. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video for my participants, but before I do so, I just want to encourage you again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, to please feel free to give me an email and shout out, and I would be happy to help you. You can reach me at Delaney@heartlandaea.org. That's ADELANEY@heartlandaea.org. Thank you so much for joining us.